Tonight on Gravitas, we start off with the escalating tensions in West Asia. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered an intensive military crackdown in the West Bank. This directive coming just hours after 3 empty buses exploded near Tel Aviv in what Israeli authorities suspect was a terrorist attack. Security forces also defused explosives found on 2 other buses. While no casualties have been reported, the blasts have reignited fears of renewed violence. So far, no group has claimed responsibility. Israeli media reports, citing intelligence assessments from Shin Bet, allege that Iran orchestrated the attack, with Hamas operatives in the West Bank carrying it out. The reports further allege that Iran supplied weapons and trained perpetrators to assemble and deploy the explosives. Meanwhile, Israeli authorities believe the devices detonated almost simultaneously in the suburbs of Bat Yam and Holon, located south of Tel Aviv. The attack's timing and method, they said, bear resemblance to past incidents, reminiscent of the deadly bus bombings across Israel that defined the early 2000s. Palestinian uprisings, according to reports by Israeli media, investigators speculate the bombs were likely intended to go off during the Friday morning rush hour, potentially causing mass casualties. Israeli police said the explosives matched those previously used in attacks originating from the West Bank. Meanwhile, the Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed strong retaliation. In a series of statements on social media, his office stated that he has instructed the IDF to launch widespread counter-terrorism operations targeting strongholds in the West Bank. Additionally, he has directed security forces and intelligence agencies to intensify efforts to prevent further attacks inside Israel. In the latest, just coming in, Israeli media reports saying that Netanyahu visited West Bank's Tulkarm refugee camp amid Israeli counter-terror operation. Meanwhile, AFP saying that Netanyahu has ordered more military raids in West Bank. Meanwhile, the Israeli defense minister has also announced an expansion of the military operations by the IDF reportedly, particularly targeting the Tulkarm refugee camp and other refugee camps across the West Bank. Hours after the explosions, in fact, the IDF deployed 3 additional battalions to the region, signaling an imminent military escalation. A statement from the IDF warned that further offensive action could follow if the security situation worsens. The IDF has also confirmed the detention of nearly 90 terror suspects in the West Bank over the past week, with 5 arrested overnight in Iqtaba near Tulkarm. Additionally, Israeli security forces have reportedly sealed off multiple checkpoints leading into the West Bank, restricting movement as a precautionary measure. Since launching its crackdown on January 21, Israel has established hundreds of checkpoints across the West Bank, remember, justifying the measures as necessary to disrupt militant operations, allegedly backed by Iran. Earlier this week itself, Israel expanded its military actions in West Bank beyond Jenin refugee camp, forcing thousands of Palestinians to flee their homes as security operations extended into additional refugee camps. Palestinian refugee camps in the West Bank were originally set up to house those displaced in the 1948 war that led to Israel's creation. Today, these camps have become focal points in the ongoing conflict. Israel's military offensive has caused widespread displacement, with humanitarian organizations warning of a crisis reminiscent of the upheaval following the 1967 war, when Israel seized control of the West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem. Meanwhile, tensions continue to rise over the Gaza ceasefire agreement. Israel has accused Hamas of failing to return the body of hostage Shiri Bibas. The Israeli military recently recovered 4 bodies from Hamas custody. But Israeli forensic specialists determined that one of the remains did not belong to Bibas, contradicting Hamas's claims. Israeli authorities have now formally demanded Hamas return her remains. In fact, just a few hours earlier, Hamas said it was investigating a possible error in identifying human remains handed to Israel. Israeli intelligence reportedly believe Bibas and her two children, Ariel and Kafir, were killed in November 2023. Ariel was just 4 years old and Kafir only 10 months old when they died, reportedly. Hamas said that an Israeli airstrike killed the Bibas family early in the war, though Israel has never officially verified this claim. Meanwhile, thousands of grieving Israelis gathered in Tel Aviv's Hostages Square to mourn the 4 hostages returned by Hamas. The crowd observed a minute of silence, paying tributes to the victims. Netanyahu condemned Hamas for what he described as a cruel and evil public handover of bodies.
We will act with determination to bring Shiri home, along with all our hostages, both living and dead, and ensure Hamas pays the full price for this cruel and evil violation of the agreement.
And as the situation intensifies, the uneasy peace in West Asia has once again been shattered. And the coming days may bring even more turmoil. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.